O'Reilly. You've got questions? O'Reilly Auto Parts has answers. Need a pro you can trust? We've got that too. No matter what you need, our professional parts people have the training and expertise to help you do things right. Deep automotive knowledge. Just one part that makes O'Reilly stand apart. The professional parts people. O'Reilly Auto Parts.
From an undisclosed broadcasting location.
This is a test. For the next 60 seconds, this station will conduct a test of the emergency broadcast system.
America, here comes the relief from the pain. Unapologetically. This is Lock and Load with Bill Frady.
Number 3. This is Lock and Load, and here we go. This is part 4 of the Rick Ector, the director, gun gift giving guide or something like this. What is it? It's the 4 G's. What is it, Rick?
Well, last time we did the gun gift giving guide.
Okay.
Man, that was very alliterative.
Yes, it was. You used that word correctly so many times in the last episode. So,
well, you know what? Practice makes perfect, man. You would have no idea how many times I practiced before the show started, man.
I can tell that you have definitely put in the work. So here we are, part 4. And this is, you get to be the one that thinks about this a lot because you create a lot of gun owners yourself, don't you?
I don't know if I necessarily. Well, I can't take credit for creating the gun owners. I merely bring the inner gun owner out of everyone that I come into contact with. Inside of everyone, man, There is someone that has a secret burning desire to learn more about guns.
And I can only imagine what that would be like. I can only imagine somebody's first experience being with a gun instructor, being with Rick Ector, the director. That would have to be a fun time.
Well, let me tell you, man, it's truly a joy for me personally, and I mean this sincerely, to cross paths with people, and whether we're in a training class or with one of the free seminars that I do, on a regular ongoing basis, man, and people, as a result of participating in the program, they come up to me and, they thank me for putting on the program, and they're just overcome with excitement about this new path that is open before them, and they're merely walking on this journey one step at a time. And it gives me immense pleasure to at least have been a part of that, man. To have been a part of that. There is a lot of fulfillment that I get out of teaching people to take on a more active role in their personal protection.
Here's what I was going to say. I was about to ask you. Now, you have taught so many women. You've given them that first exposure, right? How many have any of them come back to you and said, all right, I liked that initial thing. I want to go deeper now. Show me what I need to know.
Yeah, I can't put, like hard stats on the conversion rate, if you would, because I don't make a big deal out of, trying to track down everyone that came through the program and ask them, what did they do as a result of it. But I get feedback, man. There's a certain percentage that actually, reach out to me and sign up for a class to actually get their permit. But I tell you, many of these people are connected to me on Facebook because that's one of the principal means by which I publicize the program.
Right.
And just watching them put up their targets and their silhouettes and And man, the feedback they're getting from people in their inner circle online, and, you know, it's just a positive feedback loop. And, you know, I don't make any assurances that this whole gun owner, you know, getting a carry permit is for everybody, man. I just say that if you're at least curious about it, you know, like green eggs and ham, just try it. I mean, what's the worst thing that could happen? You could have an experience and, you know, you didn't like it, so guess what? Don't do it anymore. Go find some other pursuit to occupy your thoughts, you know? So, you know, it's fun, man. It's fun, and I get a big kick out of it. And, you know, every now and then I'll be out and about, man, and someone will come over to me and say, hey, how you doing? I'm like, hey, like, oh, you don't recognize me? And I'm thinking to myself, no. But they're like, hey, look, I went to your women's free shooting event. And I'm like, oh, okay. And, you know, it puts me in a weird spot where I'm like, okay, out of all the hundreds, if not thousands of people that go through the program, man, I tell you, I don't have a photographic memory. I don't. I really don't. But let me tell you, once they explain the connection, hey, I get engaged and I feel real good inside that I've obviously had a positive impact on someone in some material way, and they remember it and they'll never forget it. And just to hear them say that they enjoyed the program, it really, truly makes it all worthwhile.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see that. So, knowing this and knowing all these people that you have brought to the forefront of gun ownership, you've shown them the way. And so you've actually shown some of them the way to actually fight with a gun now. What kind of gifts will we give to the person that is intermediate, the intermediate gun owner, the one that has gotten out there and they've maybe figured out the holster, but they haven't figured out the gun yet? Maybe they figured out the gun, but they haven't figured out the holster. You know, what kind of things should we be looking at for those people for Christmas, I guess, would be the question.
Oh, man, there's a whole host of things that are out there. And I'll tell you, man, you know, I don't even know if I mentioned, and this is definitely an intermediate item. An intermediate item would be your second gun, your backup gun, man.
Right.
Let me throw this out to you. I know you might have some ideas.
What would
why would you believe, or why would you could possibly consider having a backup gun? What's the whole deal on that? Why would you even consider such a thing?
Going to a backup sometimes is faster than reloading. Sometimes, what if your gun might become, you might have a mechanical issue with the gun, your primary gun. So you have to go to that second gun. The second gun means if there's, like, if I'm there and something's going on and I have to, it'd be better, you know, two eyes with guns, you know, two hands with guns is going to be better than one hand with guns. If me and Rick are there and I'm like, Rick, you got your gun? He's like, no, I left it in the car, Bill. I could be like, well, here, take this one. Don't do it again. Let's get this gunfight over with because we got to have some of these St. Louis ribs. And
man, file that under something Rick never, ever hopes that happens, that I somehow managed to leave where I was without a gun. You know what? Based on how I carry my gun, man, I've actually have walked out of my front door of my home and didn't have my gun on me. But here's the funny thing. It doesn't take too long for me to just feel like off and something doesn't feel right. And then that switch clicks off in my head and it's like, hey, knucklehead, go back in the house and go get your gun. How in the world did you leave the house without your gun? I mean, it's one of those things, man. It's rare that it happens, but when it happens, it dawns itself upon me before I get too far gone that I don't have it. And you know what? Even if I'm going to the corner store, I will go back to the house and go get it and try my little errand running again, but this time while armed. And you know what? Yeah, you know, there's a temptation there not to go back because you're just going
to the store. Yeah.
Just going to the store. But if you ever pay attention to listen to people, you know, when they have their encounters and their incidents, it happened on a day and at a time in which they weren't expecting anything to happen. like just out of the blue. And those are the times when you better make sure you have it, man.
Yeah. Well, I mean, when you don't carry a gun, you're counting on the law of averages. We'll cover that. We'll cover that. Talking to Rick Ector, the director. We'll be right back. This is Lock and Load. Welcome back. We are speaking with Rick Ector from Legally Armed in Detroit. Ector, the director. And we were just talking about the backup gun, which is a fun thing. The backup gun is a fun thing. I always like the backup.
You know, my primary is always, you know, a semi-auto, man. But, you know, since this whole backup gun proposition comes up, you know, I feel compelled to insist that if for some reason your semi-auto primary failed, then maybe, you know, just for peace of mind, make that backup gun a revolver. You know? You're hesitating. You don't believe in revolvers. You don't like revolvers at all, huh?
Well, my son has one of those little, Smith & Wesson 642s.
Okay.
Which I think that is that's as good a little revolver as you're going to find. I'm almost certain they're 100% reliable. I've watched him pulling the trigger on that when he's dry fire working with it. That thing is everywhere. He has dry fired it as hard. I mean, he put another trigger in it. He tried to do something to loosen the trigger up, make it a little more pliable to where the gun's not moving when he's pulling the trigger. And so that with me, I look at that and I mean, it's definitely better than nothing.
Everything is better than nothing.
Yeah. But if hits matter, I'd be a little hesitant to make that my gun. But I'll tell you what I found out. This is what I found out. Like with like you're talking about a wheel gun is probably better as a secondary than a semi-auto. So for me, I've always looked at my backup gun as my Glock 43, which is a little gun. And that one, while it doesn't move as much as as a revolver will, I'm much better with that point shooting with that than I am trying to use the sights.
Oh, okay.
So,
you know, I've been doing that a lot lately at the range, man. This whole point shooting deal. You know, after you're shooting for a while, man, and you're all into the mindset that you're primarily carrying a gun for self-defense and you've practiced diligently for an extended period of time. Yeah, point shooting, man. Just actually pick it up, point it, and pull the trigger and see how you do. I'm thinking that you should have some residual training that's just going to be as effortlessly as, you know, as just pointing your finger and pulling the trigger.
Right.
And, you know, that's ultimately where you want to be. You know, I wouldn't advise anyone who's just getting into shooting to try this whole point shooting deal, man. But look, if you're putting in the appropriate practice and the work, you know, make it happen. It's no different than getting in your car, man, and you put the key in the ignition, you turn it, you start it, you put the car in gear and you take off. I mean, you're not actually looking at the operator's guide to figure out how to drive. You've done it enough to know how to do it.
Indeed.
Hopefully you're not at the fast food drive-thru ordering a number 6 Happy Meal, you know, while you do such things. But we know it happens, man. We know it happens. You know, another interesting thing popped up in my news feed, man, is that, you know, I'm here in Detroit. And Detroit has a anomaly, at least in my mind, man, about these crime stats, man. You know, through year to date, 1 year ago all the way up into a couple of days ago, the city of Detroit is crowing about the reduction in homicides that we've had in the city of Detroit, man.
Right.
And, you know, as someone who's relatively comfortable with statistics, you know, I majored in college, man. It's like I can smell something is off with their stats, man. Last year, they reported 228 homicides. This year, all the way up until a couple of days ago, they're at, this year we're at 228. Last year, accordingly to them, they had 278. So they're saying, okay, we're doing really well on our crime stats. And as you read these stories, because I see these stories all the time, you look for that nugget that says, okay, well, what explains what we got this year relative to what we got last year? And I didn't get a very firm answer from the police chief as to what they did to cause, you know, the shootings to drop, man. And you know what? Here's one thing that he said, man. They said that they reduced their backlog of pending cases, and that is the reason why they've had some positive performance in their stats. And that just doesn't smell right to me.
You know, with the Uniform Crime Report, which the FBI puts out, I think it's 40% of and most of them are all the big agencies that are out there. Most of them are not reporting their crime stats. So,
yeah, they're not reporting them at all.
Right. And with Detroit, I mean, I know Detroit has less population than they used to have and everything else, but I mean, a lot of people have come back to Detroit because there's some, you know, really good real estate deals that there used to be out there. And, you know, I think it's sort of trying to revive itself, which it should. It's a great city. But that's interesting. Who's the police chief now?
Oh, man, what is this dude's name? It's not Chief.
It's not Craig,
it's not
is it?
Chief. Nah, man, it's this. Well, this new guy's been on is it James White? Yeah, James White.
Okay.
He's not, you know, someone who's on the national stage who's getting publicity and stuff. So he wouldn't be a person that you would recognize offhand like James Craig. You know, James Craig got a lot of, you know, national attention because of his unconventional views on guns and citizens using firearms for self-defense and personal protection.
Well, he dared to say the thing that was the truth.
Well, yeah, he said it was true, but see, those types of things typically are not popular in your big city, urban, mayor, local government regimes. They don't want to hear that stuff.
Right.
They don't want to hear that you are taking it upon yourself if faced with a violent crime that you should defend yourself. And, you know, that runs counter to what Chief Craig was talking about. Chief Craig was like, hey, call us if we don't get there in time. Do what you have to do, protect yourself, defend your family, and everything else. So I'm looking at these stats, man, and it just doesn't ring true to me, man. But, you know, if I was a big city mayor, a big city police chief, and I had to, you know, explain things, man, you know, I guess I would be tempted to come up with something and hope it flew and no one asked me too many follow-up questions about it. But, no, I don't get it. It doesn't ring true to me. But, you know, I don't want to sound like I'm disappointed because they're claiming that their homicide stats are down. And, you know, there's only one reason why I focus on the homicide stats. You know the one reason why I focus on the homicide stats?
I'll tell you what, you can tell me in the next segment.
Okay.
You can find Rick Ector everywhere. He's even on IMDb. We'll be right back. This is Lock and Load.
I've seen just about every corner of this country, 3 million miles in my career. I spend a lot of hours on the road, but I love being my own boss. road can be a beautiful place, but you're out here on your own. There certainly are risks. I'm Charles. I'm a truck driver, a husband, and a father. And that's why I choose Federal.
When it comes to online gun shops, Primary Arms is one of America's largest retailers of new firearms, parts, accessories, and gear. They stock over 600 popular brands, all with everyday low prices and fast shipping. If you ever have any questions about a product, their team of product experts will help you make the right purchase. So, don't settle for less. Visit primaryarms.com today and see why so many gun owners make it their first destination for all of their firearm needs.
For over 25 years, Aero Precision has paved the way as a leading manufacturer of American-made AR parts. Aero Precision caters to the rifle builder by engineering quality receivers, handguards, and other essential parts. Aero Precision's added enhancements create a smooth build process from start to finish for beginners and seasoned builders. Whether this is your first rifle or your 50th, Aero Precision offers everything you need to make a quality AR at an affordable price.
At Spikes Tactical, we are all shooters with a very simple mission. Make the best product we can perfect at the best possible price for our consumers. We strive to produce the best components and rifles available, with quality control second to none, because real-world events don't allow for a second chance. Whether you are an operator, competitor, or home defender, Spikes Tactical will serve you well. Go to spikestactical.com. Spikes Tactical, 100% American-made to the highest standard.
At Staccato, we know there's no such thing as a fair fight, and we bring the unfair advantage that is the 2011 platform.
Dominate.
At Staccato, we know the most important gun you own is the one that you're carrying when you're facing that threat to life and freedom.
Win.
We want you to enter that objective confident that you are carrying the best gun in the gunfight. No compromise. No sacrifice. Staccato2011.com. Stand ready to face down the darkness with 2011.
Holster.com, the home of DeSantis quality-built American-made products for 45-plus years. Supporting police and government contracts from first responders to responsible citizens. Holster.com is your source for quality American-made leather and Kydex holsters for the armed American. For concealed carry or open carry, Holster.com has what you need. We didn't invent concealment. We perfected it. Go to Holster.com now and buy a DeSantis holster today.
What's in a name? If that name is Ace Firearms, you've just entered a very expensive business. First, a fully appointed gun shop with all the guns, ammo, and accessories you could possibly imagine. But then you enter the manufacturing facility that is home to Red Alligator Concealment, Militia Arms Customs, and so much more. Ace Firearms is beyond a simple gun shop. This is a totally peerless operation. To find out more, go to acefirearms.com. Ace Firearms. This is only the beginning.
At MGS, we have what it takes to reinvent yourself. With a curriculum designed to balance work, family, and a gun repair education, MGS provides the gateway into one of the fastest-growing segments of the gun industry. Modern Gun School's mission is to provide high-quality distance education using time-tested materials and hands-on projects designed to develop a proficiency in both the technique and the business of gunsmithing. Go to mgs.edu. MGS Trade School. Your future is waiting.
Welcome back. This is Lock and Load. I'm speaking with Rick Ector, the director. We were just talking about why he focuses in on homicide as his primary stat, and I had to hold you up on that one. Why do you focus so much on the homicide stat?
Because there's usually some other person in government who's going to push back on what you publish. For example, if the Detroit Police Department published numbers that didn't jive, let's say, with the prosecutor's office, right?
Right.
Then, of course, there'd be like some pushback to saying, hey, no, I don't think your numbers are correct. The principal reason, man, is that a homicide can't easily be hidden. And, I have a friend that works in the police department. And from what my friend tells me, they can, to an extent, be hidden. And I'll explain that in a minute. But when you have a homicide, man, there's a body. I mean, and it's hard to hide that statistically, man. Right. I mean, you had so many dead people, and once you have dead people, you know, you got to figure out whether they're homicides or whether they're justified homicides. And justified homicides, typically, at least the way, you know, they do it in Detroit, they don't count, man. But homicides, you know what? Yeah, there's a number there. And it usually has to match up with what the prosecutors are publishing. Other crimes, man, I mean, you could play with those numbers till the cows come home and nobody would notice and nobody principally would care. But one thing my friend told me about the homicides, at least in Detroit, is that if this homicide like started, let's say like someone got shot today, and let's say they didn't die today, or maybe they died maybe a day later or 2 days later, those stats somehow are able to disappear and don't have to necessarily be in the total accounting, because they can possibly say that that person died because of complications from getting shot, and they don't necessarily call it a murder. And I thought that was really interesting. But needless to say, man, you know, this whole crime and statistics is a very interesting business. But you guys don't publish homicide stats where you're from, do they?
Well, I'm trying to find them. I'm trying to find how many murders we are or how many homicides.
It's got to be some ridiculously low number.
Let's see. In 2022, 514 for the state.
For the state?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, homicide. Murder.
I
mean, you know, all life is precious, and that's still, you know, an attributable number, man.
But that's, so in 2017, it was 375. Then 2020 jumped to 567, 2021, 573. And 2022, it fell to 514. So,
you know, and it's just also coincidental. I shouldn't say coincidental, but it's another big story that they're really pumping and pushing here in Detroit is that you know, they recently had, well, the city of Southfield is right outside the city. They had one of those gun buybacks, man. Man, you know how I feel about those things, man. They're just like big media spectacles, and you know what? I call it the grand display, man.
Right.
That's where they have the big, giant, long table, and then they put on the table all the guns that they, you know, quote unquote, took off the street, and then we see all these firearms, and we're supposed to go, ooh, right? Never. Some of these guns, man, it's like you wonder if they are even, you know, serviceable. Should they even, you know, would they even discharge if they were loaded in the trigger pull? But you know what? It doesn't matter, because this is the grand display, because they took a gun from someone who did not want it and brought it to the police station so that they could get, you know, it kills me, the gifts that they offer, like a $25 gift certificate to McDonald's or something, you know, and they get to say, we did some really good work and that the city is going to be safer. You know, the flaw in that whole argument, you want to know what the flaw is in that whole argument?
What's the flaw?
Criminals do not sell their guns.
I would have to say yes, they don't sell their guns. I mean, how do they acquire their guns? Do they trade, or what do they do to get their guns?
I would imagine the vast majority of them, they buy them from people who stole them, you know, and they, you know, well, gee, question might come up, well, gee, Rick, how did somebody steal a gun? Well, because we have these places where you can't take a gun, then of course you got to stash your gun in your car, right?
Yeah.
You stash your gun in your car could be broken in. Okay, well, then they say, well, gee, why don't you do something like, I don't know, like put it, you know, in the trunk? Well, gee, you put it in the trunk, you're making a big display out of you going to the trunk in a place where you can't bring a gun. I mean, and here's the thing. A savvy gun criminal would just stake out gun-free zones and just work the parking lot and just break in cars. I mean,
that's one of the reasons. One of the reasons I don't have any stickers on my car going, I am the NRA. I love SIG pistols. I don't have any of those. This car protected by Glock. I don't have any of those on my car.
Well, I mean, not only do you have to worry about a potential car thief breaking into your car looking for, your gun, you have to deal with those anti-gun whack jobs who want to damage your car because they hate the fact that you and them don't agree on the same thing, man.
Right.
I mean, they take things to a whole different level with their politics and antics, man. But you know what? God bless them, man. They have a right to say whatever they want, no matter if it's pure nonsense and absolutely no one agrees with them. But I'll tell you, with this whole gun buyback business, man, I used to love actually doing them, man, because it really, in many cases, it was like a visual spectacle when the story came out that these laws have absolutely no impact on crime. I think the best thing that they could say is that maybe an heir or a survivor to someone who was the principal owner of the gun, and they're no longer there, and then you have the surviving spouse, a surviving family member who just doesn't want it around anymore, and they just want to, dispose of it and get rid of it.
Sure.
Taking it to a gun and buyback, I can understand. But see, in some of those cases, man, you'll find like someone will bring like a very, expensive gun that might potentially be worth like a lot of money. If they, took it to a dealer or to a gun shop or to a collector and actually realized some satisfactory percentage of the market value rather than a $25 gift certificate for McDonald's, Right. Not that I'm putting down McDonald's. I actually like going to McDonald's, man. But, when you compare it to, the value that one could get from a serviceable firearm in good position, it's criminal. It's absolutely criminal.
Indeed. It is, without a doubt. It is criminal. So, we're coming up on the last break. Haven't given you a chance to be able to tell everybody how to find you.
Oh, man. For sure, you can definitely find me here on Bill Frady's Lock and Load every Tuesday evening, Ector the Director.
Yep.
If you have access to social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and yes, I'm even on IMDb.
Cool. Even on IMDb. I haven't checked to see if I'm on IMDb yet. You'll have to tell me how to do that one day. How do you check?
Look, man, go to imdb.com and type in Bill Frady.
Okay, I'll do that. And in the interim, we'll be right back. This is Lock and Load. Welcome back. Last time on the firing line, and I'm on IMDb as well. Do you know why I'm on IMDb?
Why are you on IMDb?
Because of Director Ector on Lock and Load and Planet Rick on Lock and Load.
See? It pays to know good people, man. Look, you can get some exposure.
Yeah.
You're on the site where stars are populating that place, man. IMDb is like the database for, I don't know, not necessarily performers or actors or newscasters or broadcasters. A great percentage of entries are people who have shows, man.
Okay.
And you have a show, and you know what? You should be on there.
Okay. Well, I am on there, so that's interesting to know. Now, do we want to talk about any gifts for the gift giving guide for gun owner gift giving guide?
Let's see. A couple of other things that could present themselves, man. You know, I would hope that someone that really treasures me would give me something that I would truly, truly enjoy. And you know what? I don't have the actual budget to afford it, man. You know, I know that one can, if they get the appropriate licenses, man, they could actually get, you know, a full auto gun. But you know what? They have to be manufactured before, what was that,
1986.
86.
Yep.
And the prices on those guns are you know,
it's five figures.
High.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, there's absolutely no way I could positively, you know, reasonably get one of those, man. But I would love to have one just for giggles, man.
Well, let me explain it would depend on which one you had. If you were to get like an M16, that would be a waste of your money. That'd be a waste of your time. It'd be a waste of all the hassle of owning it. Because you want to know what? The M16 is not built to be shot fully automatic.
It's not?
It's a dancing machine when you put it on fully automatic. We used to call the auto switch the chatter switch.
Okay. Well, explain the reference to me.
Well, the gun just doesn't weigh enough. And impingement is not nearly as good as piston, like the AK for full automatic. Mm-hmm. The AK-47 is a great full automatic gun, but the AR-15, the front end and the back end start to go up and down. It boat tails on you. It starts bouncing, and you can hang on to it and everything. But I mean, it's like anything else. Now, if somebody were to give you like a minigun, now we're talking some fun. But I mean, just yeah. The ammunition for a minigun, though, I mean, you'd have this minigun that was a minigun-shaped paperweight unless you could afford the ammo.
Well, see, and then that's the linchpin, man. But You know what? If you can afford a firearm like that, the last thing you should really be worried about is how much the ammunition is going to cost.
That would be my thought.
Just think about how much fun you're going to have.
Yeah, well, I mean, a minigun is an awesome thing to look at, especially when you're looking at them when they're firing tracers, because you'll look at that and it looks like it's a laser beam coming out. And but what's actually happening is every tracers are every fourth round. So in between the tracers that you see, there's 4 rounds of ammo that you don't see. So I mean, that's quite the storm being thrown downrange. So yes, that would be fun.
While I'm thinking about it, man. This is Tuesday, so yeah, we still have a few more days left. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, man. We have a seminar I'm putting out here in Metro Detroit, man. It's for these new pesky gun laws that came onto the books like less than 90 days ago, and statutorily speaking, they go into effect Valentine's Day. Right. Believe it or not. We have, red flag laws. We got to register our guns now. And you know what happens when the government knows where your guns are, right?
They can come and get them.
They can come and get them one day. And, of course, we have a firearm storage law. So, one thing that I thought I would do, man, and I know I mentioned it last time we were on, is that I'm putting together an informational session on these laws, let gun owners know that, hey, they're coming on the books. I don't agree with them, but they're on the books, and some of these laws carry some harsh penalties in some certain isolated circumstances, that you need to be apprised of. So if anybody's out there that's in the Metro Detroit area and you're looking about learning about these new gun laws that we're expected to follow, definitely hit me up on Legally Armed in Detroit, and if you sign up, I look forward to seeing you this weekend on Saturday. But yeah, man, red flag laws.
Red flag laws. I call those the minority report laws. I look at that like Minority Report. I
mean, when you think about it, man, it's like you haven't broken a law, right? You haven't broken the law. You did nothing wrong, but someone decides to call the police and say, hey, Bill Frady, you know what? Bill didn't do anything wrong per se, but he did his show and he said some things that I thought that were not necessarily hateful, but they hurt my feelings. And I'm worried about him. I think he's unhinged. He's unstable.
Yep.
Would you go take his guns after you raid his house?
Right.
The government might take them up on it, man.
See, and while they're doing that, if I had not complied with the safe storage law, for example, that would be another charge. Because the safe storage law, and I don't know, see, like I don't have a gun safe. I have toolboxes that I stick my guns in.
Okay.
And I mean, if somebody can pick up the toolbox and run away from it, we're probably talking about a Sasquatch type guy. And I don't know how much I want to try to impede him if he can pick up this thing and run away with it. So he probably gets away with it.
You brought it up, man. Is there any reason why you happen to use a tool storage box instead of a gun box?
Well, because a tool storage box is mobile, and if moving it would be easier if I ever have to move. On the other hand, it is heavy enough and big enough, and it does lock. It is designed to be carted all over the place and beat up. Most of these gun safes that they sell as gun safes are not actually safes. They'll hold you back about 30 seconds longer than if they knew the combination to it. The other thing is what came out of Liberty safes with the whole the one that they called the Liberty safe and said we're going to raid this guy and we want access to his safe, and they got it from the safe maker.
Oh. Like they just asked and they provided something to get them access?
Yep.
Huh.
And that came and went really quickly, but at the same time, my toolbox is locked with a key. Now, they could probably supply them with a key if they wanted to, but it wouldn't be something that would happen that day unless they had pre-planned all of this. So, do my guns get locked up? Yes. I have a lockup mechanism. Is it a gun safe? No. Because I can't afford a real gun safe. A real gun safe is going to set you back about $7,000. These gun safes.
Is that all?
Yeah. Well, these gun safes, like the gun safes at Cabela's, they're made by Liberty Safes, who gave away the code.
I'd rather spend the money on a Gucci gun.
There you go. Or you could use it as a down payment on your fully automatic weapon.
Man, I actually shot a gun in full auto, man. And I have to say, it is fun, man. It's fun.
It's exhilarating unless you got to pay for the ammo.
And you know what? It was done by this gun range, and they supplied the ammo. So, it was doubly fun. It was fun, and it was cheap. It didn't set me back, man. And I had a real good time doing it.
You want to know what caliber gun I would get in full auto today?
.223.
22.
Oh, yeah?
Well, the ammo.
What's your reason?
The ammo costs. Plus, you can hit what you're aiming at with a 22 and fully automatic. So, anyway, we have run out of time, Ector, to the director.
Hey, man, it's always been a blast. Truly enjoy being on the show, man. Ector, the director. Hey, man, look forward to talking with you next week. Same time, same bat channel.
Same bat time, same bat channel. Maybe I need to get the Batman theme for you when you come on the show. That sort of sounds like what it should be. That's what I should do.
The original theme from the show in the 60s?
Batman, that one, yeah. Anyway, thank you for joining me today, sir.
All right, buddy. Have a good one. See you next week.
Yes, sir. Back again in about 21 hours between now and then. Remember this. It has never been about gun control. Not once. Not ever. It has been. It's always going to be about total control. This has been Lock and Load.
Find out if Entyvio vedolizumab could be the right treatment option for your patients. Review the clinical trial data at intiviohcp.com.